Hello and welcome back to RailRoads Online. So today we are here with a little bit of a different video. Going to turn around and kind of just do a tier 1 locomotive review is what we're going to do today. We joined by Gizmo today, so it's going to be kind of just our 2 cents on locomotives, where we see them, how we see them, and just what we rank them as. So he's kind of rolling them in. First one
Welcome
we're
aboard.
yeah. All right, so hand car first.
Yeah, there's
Is
the first one. It's not going over the switch.
is it really?
It is not.
Really? All right.
It
Well,
will
there we go.
not go over a switch.
All right. Well,
There's the first downside.
that's gonna be one in the glitch department. I guess we'll keep. Yeah, right. Running into a wall. Go figure that. All right. Well, we'll just chuck that thing out of the way when it comes to that. But so we are gonna do like a 1 through 5 kind of ranking, and then just total them up and give our overall, I guess, opinion of them. So with that being said, I guess we should probably just start, obviously, and we'll just
Yeah.
go. Yeah. So hand car look wise, where do you put it? 1 through 5.
Yeah, I'd have to give it probably a solid 6 or 7, just with the looks of it. The wood looks pretty good on it.
We're only going
Oh,
one
there
through
it
five.
goes.
Oh, so it just won't auto flip the switch. Were you on the straight rail before?
Yeah.
So it just won't auto flip the switch is what it was. All right, cool. So I mean, whatever. On a 1 through 5 ranking, I gotta
Oh, one
be
through five.
honest. Yeah, I would probably put the hand car at a 4. I mean,
Okay.
it looks
I
decent.
agree.
It's not crazy overboard, but I'd say it looks like it should look. So there you go. That's my take on it. Sound, I gotta be honest, I give it a 2. Like, I mean, it sounds right going over the rail, but it isn't like it really makes a heck of a lot of sound.
Yeah, I agree. I
So,
think to give it a solid 5, I would say a little bit more decorative stuff on it. Yeah, empty toolbox. Uh,
right, some tools that make some noise, some jingle jangle, a bell or something.
yeah,
I mean, there's improvements that could definitely be made to the hand car for sound, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, it's kind of plain the way it is. It just sounds like rolling
yeah,
stock. So,
and a
uh,
lamp, since we have lamps. It would have been cool to see a lamp attached to this thing.
that's absolutely true too. Good, fair point. Then it would actually have a little more use, which is going to fall into our next category, which is use, overall use of it. And for me, I guess I got to put the hand car at a 1. It really
All right,
has no use. I mean, unless you,
I agree.
especially now with the telegraph system, there is basically zero use for
Irrelevant.
the hand car. Our next category is cost. And I guess when it comes to cost, what is the hand car cost? If it's not free, it's a problem.
It is two. Oh no, not 200. A hand car is 150.
150, right? So I got again. That's going to be a 1 for me because it's overpriced. It has no use.
Yeah,
If it was $10, okay, but
yeah,
anything other than that, I guess it's got to be a 1 for me because it just has no use. Power is our next category, and again, that's a 1 for the hand car.
yeah.
It has no power, and then history is kind of what we've used for the last category. So as far as glitches or any issues in its history of operation, I guess. And the hand car, as far as I know, has always run clean, never had a problem. Not that I use it a lot, but I guess I have to give it a 5 for history.
Yeah, I haven't really seen any glitches with it aside from no auto switch with it.
That's true. Okay, let's knock that down to a 4, right? Because that's one kind of. It is an outstanding glitch.
Yeah,
It doesn't obviously flip the switches like everything else does, so it's a out of norm, I guess we'll say. All right. Well, I guess that's going to conclude our hand car review there. So that's a 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. It scored 13 for those,
All right.
keeping track. Hand car is a 13. We'll have to see where that ranks when it comes down to it. Yeah. Next one on our list is going to be Betsy, which everybody in the game familiar with Betsy, the first starting locomotive that we get. And kind of old reliable, I guess is what I've always referred to it as. So we'll bring that one up. Sights and sounds of Betsy doing its thing. Alright. So we'll get off with looks on Betsy. This is going to be a tough one because it's going to be kind of opinionated. It's one of our early models in the game, that's for sure. Has it held up over time, I guess, is the question to be had. Where would I put Betsy? I gotta say,
I would
go ahead.
go for it.
No, if you,
Yeah, I would give it a 3. I would say it's,
3?
basic start off engine. Hasn't seen much upgrade over time aside from the whistle, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm inclined to agree. It definitely cuts the bill as far as it looks decent, but it's not, let's say, as good as it could be, right? The wood could be a little richer. There could be some more texture in it for sure. It hasn't been updated for quite a while. Yeah, I'll go with a 3. Middle of the road.
Cool.
That fits. All right, then we come to sound, which that's another one. I guess I would go middle of the road, right? Betsy sounds.
I agree.
Yeah. I guess you can't really put a thing on it, but it just sounds middle of the road. Could be a little better, could be a little more unique, but it is kind of the benchmark, I guess, too. So there's
I
that.
think the biggest thing with it was when we got the chuffs. The chuffs was a nice little addition to it,
Yes.
and a big
Especially.
change because Betsy was always known for the basic default chuffing.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. That actually brought this locomotive back to life too. Was the chuffs and
Exactly.
puffs. I totally agree. So then we come to use. Where do we put it in overall use? That's kind of a tough one.
I'd have to give it a 3 as well. It's kind of hit or miss depending on how long you want to use it in the beginning of the game.
I would totally agree. I was kind of leaning 2 or 3 for me. But it does have the benefit, when you're on flat ground, Betsy does do a heck of a lot. It's just when the hills come up that Betsy really runs into a shortcoming. So you can use it. It's going to take you all day, though.
Yep.
So many loads. All right, then we're brought to cost. So Betsy's, what, 2,000?
I believe so, yeah.
I think
2,000.
2,000
You are
flat.
correct. Yep.
So
Wait, after the update, it went down to 19, right? So it's 1,900. I think you hit the 2,000 range once you add the light on the front of it.
I don't
2,050.
even, can you add a light to Betsy? When you buy
Yes.
one? You can?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, there's a thing. I guess I've always read the original Betsy. I've never really actually bought another Betsy, so there's a thing. Yeah, go figure that. All right.
Yep.
Well, that's cool. Now I want a new one with a light.
All
All right.
Yeah,
So,
the original, I believe it didn't come with a light.
where do we put it cost-wise? Probably cost for dollar. I would say it's a 3.
I would agree.
Because you could always buy a couple of them, I suppose, and actually start running some stuff uphill in double header or triple header units if you wanted to for the cost. I mean, it's cheap. So there is that. All right, then we get to power. It's got to be a 2, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, low end, definitely. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not a 1. It's not the hand car, but all right. And then we get to history, which that's a bit of a sketchy history. Let me see. Short of the teleporting Betsy. Betsy used to teleport you. So that's
Yeah,
thrown in there. So I guess other than that, I would say probably a 4. I mean, it's been pretty consistent loco with limited problems.
I agree.
Okay. Well, that finishes Betsy up. So let's see. 4, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 points for Betsy. Too bad. I actually scored pretty decently. Be interesting to see where some of these come in now, because one thing we didn't use as a category: speed.
Speed.
Speed. Does the hand car have a speedometer? Did you notice when you were in it?
I did not.
That's one thing I haven't actually checked out yet. I was just kind of thinking of. All right, what's our next locomotive here? Porter Type 2. Oh, sure.
Type, dude.
Betsy's buddy. All right, looks is going to be our first category on this one. I gotta say, I think the Porter Type 2 is probably a 4 in my book.
I agree.
Looks a little better than Betsy. Of course, it's all blacked out, which makes the world a little easier for it. But the lights, the whole smack, I'm going to give that one a bump over Betsy, that's for sure. So, 4, not quite a 5. Although, I don't know. One could almost argue that this is a 5 for looks.
I would agree, especially
Actually.
with the light on the back.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and give it the 5. Why not? It deserves it. It's actually, there's not a lot of improvement you'd make on this locomotive as far as I'm concerned. It looks, for looks, it's there. All right.
I agree.
How about sound? What are we thinking there?
Yeah, rip off sound from Betsy.
I would agree. So I think we'll have to just give that one a 3. Same.
Yep.
Middle of the road. Could be better. Of course, could always be worse. Use for the Porter Type 2.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd have to say it's, up there with Betsy, it's just that next little, I wouldn't say bump in power, since it's essentially the same track effort from what I know of.
Yep. I would agree. I would say the only reason I would be inclined, I guess, to give this one a little bump is that you can use it for longer runs because of the extra wood storage. So this one is going to provide you a little more use than Betsy, so I guess I would give it a 4 when it comes to overall use.
Yeah.
It's not going to do mountain stuff at all, that's for sure. I mean, not great, but it can at least haul your long run stuff. All right, then that brings us to costs on the Porter, which is what, 2,500? I think with optional equipment, it gets into that range.
Yeah, so you got the base price is 2,000, and then once you start adding the front light, that's a $300 bump on that, so it comes out to 2,300.
Right,
That front and back light.
So I guess I'd be inclined to go with a 3 rating, just like Betsy. I mean, price for dollar, for performance anyway, I think is there. The one thing too, we did forget about that when it comes to use. This has the rear light, which does make it much nicer for loading at night.
Agree.
So this thing is, got a few more uses than the standard Porter. So cost-wise, we're thinking, what, a 3? 2 or a 3? What do you think?
Yeah, I would think a 3.
3? Okay, that's
I do
fair.
think 300 is a little steep for 2 lights.
Especially when they're as dim as these are.
Yeah, right, exactly.
These are some of the dimmer lights in the game. We do have to keep that in mind. So, all right. Power-wise, we put the Porter
Yeah, the same
Probably
as
same as
Betsy.
Betsy. So that's a
Yep.
2 power wise. Obviously, not great when it comes to hill climbing. And then history of this locomotive. As far as I know, it's got a pretty scot-free history. I've never had a problem with a Porter Type 2.
I agree.
So we got to give that one a 5. It's been a bug-free history that I know. All right, well,
Same with me as well.
that finishes up that one. So then we're at how many points on this one? 5, 6, 7, 10, 14, 17, 22. So far, yeah, that's the leader right there. Porter Type
All right.
2. It's got a good lead on front of Betsy. So now which one do we do? Thinking Montezuma or Shea?
I'd have to say, uh, yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, let's go for the
I can't
Shea.
remember which one came out before. It
Oh,
was the
I
Shea,
think
right?
Montezuma came out. No, Monty came out before Shea did.
Uh,
Yeah, because Shea was in the fall update when we got the 3 locos, so we got the 48 to Shea,
that
and
is right.
what was the other locomotive? The 48 to Shea, and unless that's when we got Montezuma too. No, because we got Montezuma by itself. I'd have to go back and look now what came out with the Shea and the Class 48. There was something else in there. It's been a long time though. That was fall last year
Oh,
when
cool.
those came out. There is Montezuma, which yeah, can't go all nuts about my opinion about Montezuma just yet. But okay, Montezuma.
Yeah.
When it comes to looks, where do you put that one?
I'd have to say a solid 5, just because of the paint job.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think between either option, whether you like the blacked out option or you like the more colorful option, either one I
Yep.
gotta say I like, and I think it has good options for either color. You know, that's one thing to be said about some of these other locomotives. There are no options in those first locos that we covered. This is going to be the first one with optional paint
Yep.
in the game, so that's a thing to be said too. So definitely a 5 on Montezuma for looks. And then how
I
about
agree.
sound?
Yeah, definitely has a, unique whistle to basic bell. I'd give it a solid 4.
I agree, actually. And then especially the chuffs and puffs, I think favors Montezuma more than almost any other locomotive. This is the one I think chuffs the
Yeah.
best to life, sounds the best,
Yep.
in my opinion, when it comes to coming to life. So I would definitely go with a 4. It does have its own whistle, and the bell, unfortunately, is the same. Wouldn't mind hearing a different bell on this one, but
Agree.
such as it is. All right, use Montezuma. I'm gonna give Montezuma a 4 for use.
I agree as well. Multi-purpose.
Definitely. And well, it's not going to do heavy loads up the hills. This is, the first one I think is viable to actually run hills because it's got the wood supply to do longer runs and all of that. Plus, you finally start to get some decent brakes, or not decent, but better.
I agree.
I'll say that.
You got the tender brake in case you need to use it.
Yep, exactly. You just have a little more use there. Cost wise. And the tender goes a long way. I mean, this thing, you can fill it up and use the heck out of it for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So, cost, Monty is
25.
2,500 right in there.
Yeah,
So,
this is the base price without the light or the smokestack features.
so for me, I guess I'm inclined to go with a 4 for Montezuma. I mean, you get a decent amount of locomotive for the cost. It's actually
Yeah.
usable.
Yeah, the base price of 25, you can't beat it.
Right.
But once you start adding on stuff with your Your light and your smokestack, you're looking probably close to 2,700.
Right, which is not bad for a fully loaded out,
Yeah.
usable locomotive, you know, with some options. All right, power wise. Boy, that's a tricky one with Montezuma.
Yeah. So you definitely get the uh, track effort 3650. So it's a nice little bump compared to the orders.
Right. I guess I would give it a 3. I would say it's middle of the road power wise. You know, like it's going to get there, but it's not
Yep.
going to get there. You know, I think just as much up down there. So 3 seems fair. All right, history of the locomotive. This is again a one with the history. I
Yeah.
can't remember ever having problems with Montezuma, so I guess I'd have to give it a
I
5
cannot either.
in a
Yeah, I'd
clean
have to give it a
history.
5 as well.
All right. Well, that finishes Montezuma, which I'm thinking is probably going to be our leader here. 8, 12, 16, 20, 25 points. So just edging out the Porter Type 2 so far. Oh, that's cool. I'd be boiled. Steam clean. Montezuma. Baldwin Locomotive. Oh, what's Montezuma? Is that a 440? Yeah. Or is it a 240?
240.
240 is Montezuma. Yeah, that's kind of like fun locomotive, actually. I mean, I gotta be honest. I'm kind of partial to Montezuma. Ever since that one came out, I have a hard time not picking one up just because it's great for the early game. And it used to seem so much faster than it does now. That's the only one thing. Well, this might take a while getting the Shea here, so we might as well start talking about that.
Yeah.
All right, so the Shea, when it comes to looks, the one thing that's going to work in this thing's favor is that we did not put speed as a category. Obviously, so we will an honorable mention to the fact that this thing is by far the slowest locomotive in the game, which does lend to great screenshots because you can get out and see your loco coming, but
Yeah.
not necessarily the best for being in a hurry. So when it comes to looks, what are you thinking with the ranking on the Shea? I gotta be honest, when this one came out, I really liked the look of it. Of course, I
agree.
still have to say I really like the look of the Shea.
For its ugliness, I would have to give it a 5, just for the how everything's built on it.
Right.
The quality of detail, I'd have to say, with the hardware on it.
Coolest mechanics in the game.
Exactly.
Coolest exterior mechanics in the game for sure. So I will agree. We will give the Shea a 5. Sound on the Shea.
Basic chuffs.
Yeah, it
Whistle.
is pretty basic, isn't it?
Yeah. Same thing with the bell.
Yep. So we'll just go with a generic 3, I think,
I would agree.
on the Shea. Sounds good. Then we have overall use. For me,
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, the Shea is a 2.
Yeah.
I would love to say, hey, it's got more use because, yes, it can pull a little more and do a little more. It also does it so slow that even if it can do more, that works against it because do you really want to do it at that speed?
Agree.
Okay.
Unless you have all the time in your day.
Right. Then the Shea is great. And I do really like the headlight on the Shea. I will say
Agree.
that, too.
The ultimate decorative piece for your logging camp.
Yes. It looks great. It's a pity it's not a little more functional, so it's going to have to be a 2. Cost. Now, at one point, the cost on this thing was insane, right? Because it was like, what, 5,400 or something at one point, and it was dropped to 2,500. So we do have to
Yep.
kind of take that into account with the cost, because this thing when it originally came out was an insane cost. So for me, the Shea is a 2 when it comes to cost. Although I
Okay.
guess now maybe we bump it to a 3. I mean, it's what, 2,500 now?
Yeah.
So I
Uh,
guess it's so
yeah, I'd have to say 2 for cost.
2.
Yeah,
Okay.
cost to use ratio. Yeah,
Keeps
you're
it.
spending 2,500 for something that
That's
you're less likely to use that often.
especially in the long run of the game.
Agree.
I mean, in the long run of the game, this thing gets really unusable
Yeah.
unless you're
And
using
then
it for yard switching or something.
exactly. And then the add-ons with it, you know,
Right.
you're looking at about 2,650, so just shy of 2,700 with customizing that.
Right. So we'll drop that. Yeah, two's fair. That's actually being nice. All right, power. Where do we rank
Yeah,
this one? Power, it's got actually. I mean, it's
just
got
shy
it.
of 59.
Right, it's got a decent amount of power. So then, I guess I give it a 3. I give it a 3. I don't think you can give it a 4 because it's not like this thing is gonna. Its power is not gonna override the fact that it's slow as heck.
Yeah.
It's just not enough. So I guess 3. All right, and then that brings
Uh,
us to the history of the locomotive. The only thing I can say bad about the history is the cost.
Yeah, the cost. And then I don't think this one had the wheel slip issue like the
Right,
was it the Heisler
right. The climax. The climax is
Climax?
it had a crazy
That's
wheel
the one.
spin.
Yeah.
This one not so bad. So I guess it's history. I'm inclined to go. I'm gonna knock it down at least 1 point and give it a 4 because of its cost. I mean, one could argue almost a 3 because at one point the cost made this thing, absolutely pointless to have.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's not been buggy. It's always looked decent. Hasn't had problems like that. So I guess we'll go with a 4 on that one. So that brings the Shea's total to, let's see, 4, 7, 9, 10, 11, 14, 19 points for
All
the
right.
Shea. All right, so where does that put us ranking wise? Here's where that puts us ranking wise, anyway. Montezuma is our clear cut winner at 25 points. Our second place is the Porter Type 2 with 22 points. So that seems to work out kind of right. Betsy came in with, nope, take that back. The Shea came in at 19 points. Betsy at 18 points. And then the hand car at a abysmal 13 points. So yeah, so I mean, the rankings. I guess the point system's kind of working out. I see it. I mean, the only shock I guess that I see is Betsy coming out 1 point lower than the Shea because Betsy is quite a bit more usable. But then when you look at it, the Shea does look a heck of a lot better. And in the
Yeah.
long run, neither one of them become all that usable. So I guess, they are kind of this for that. But I
One
don't
little thing we did miss with the Shea
know. Mm-hmm.
was just the overhead uh, cab hatch, the little vent hatch that's on top. I think that's pretty cool too. But
That's
aside
true.
from that, I would still leave the ranking where it's at with this loco. It's a
Yeah,
decorative piece for your logging camp.
yeah. See, I gotta agree. Right at the end of the day, you're gonna turn around. Betsy and the Shea are both gonna become yard art, and the Shea looks slightly better than Betsy. So the fact that it ranks a little higher makes sense. I guess I'm pretty good with what we came up with for tier 1. So
I
yeah,
agree.
All right, sweet. Well, that's our tier 1 rankings for Railroads Online, at least at this point. I have to say thanks, Gizmo, for the help on the video.
No
That one
problem.
went good. And we'll call that one a win and say thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you get a chance, like, share, subscribe. Subscriptions are free, but sure do help the channel. Y'all have a great day. Nice. That's cool.